If I do this for 45 minutes, it's like a mime act. If I just don't say anything, I just sit here and keep making gestures. Would you confuse me for a mime? Doubtful. Doubtful. So the odds are I'm not a mime, even if I was miming. So, hi, Becky. And a light came on. Ah! The light bulb went off in my head. Ah! I got a million of them. I slay me. Ah! All right, enough of that. Let's get serious. It's Friday. It's going to be Friday evening. In fact, where Kathy is, it's already Friday evening. Where I am, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, June 4th. I think that qualifies as a Friday. Hi, Rachel, Chris. I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm a little bent out of shape. No, I don't mean I'm fat. That's a different subject. Yes, okay, I'm out of shape. I am. Long time no see. I am. So, what was I saying? Oh, I'm bent out of shape. But if you call me fat, you'd be on the wrong out of shape. This out of shape is mentally out of shape. I just didn't get anything done today that I wanted to get done. But Chris did an 11-mile loop at 16 miles per hour, which is more than I would do if I had gone out. I don't do that speed thing. He's a speed demon. So I didn't go out. I didn't go out and I didn't bicycle. Well, I mean, I didn't go out and bicycle. I did go out early this morning and I went to a 12-step meeting. And then I had lunch with, and this is kind of part of our topic today. So now it's time to pay attention, kids. Hold on, before we start off, Becky did 5 on her regular bike. She has an e-bike, like I have. She has a regular bike, like I have. She did 5 on the regular bike. Kudos to you. That's determination. And tomorrow, I'm going to do what I can to get to the bottom of the investigation as to what has happened with your e-bike. I don't promise anything because apparently I'm not that important over there because I called the general manager and I thought we had some movement, and now I find out I'm just another spoke in the wheel. I don't know what that means, kids, so don't go off too far on that one. So I had lunch. I want to tell you about lunch. You know, I'm a lawyer. And I really am. Sometimes when I say that, I feel like I should hold up my degree or something, or my license. I mean, do you guys ever feel that way about your life? Like, Anne, when you say you're a social worker, do you think nobody will believe you if you don't show them your degree? You know, it's kind of the way I feel sometimes. I'm always surprised when anybody believes me just when I say I'm a lawyer. I always feel like they should probably challenge me for their own good and for the good of the country. People should say, why would I believe you're a lawyer? Do you have any proof that you're a lawyer? Do you have a bar card, issued by the state that you claim you're a lawyer in? Do you have a certificate showing that you graduated from a law school? I have these things, but they're not on display. So why would you believe me just because I told you I'm a lawyer? Yes, I am articulate on matters of the law, but I'm articulate on gangs too. I can explain the history, the structure, and everything that fuels gangs. I can talk to you about addiction. Well, and I'm an addict. I guess in many senses, life has prepared me well for these disturbing credentials, amongst which is I'm a lawyer. So people believed Chris when he told them he was a painter. I guess if they're going to buy that kind of bullshit, they might as well believe I'm a lawyer. So I went to lunch today, a late lunch, by the way. I went out to Irving. Somebody else drove, and I had lunch at India 101. Very good buffet, I want to say, but we got there late. So we had to kind of eat fast before they took all the food away. But that's not what I came here to talk about. I was meeting with a woman whose husband died 2 years ago. And she has hired a lawyer and been trying to, uh, uh, how do you say, close the estate. So this is important, especially for those of you that are married or share any assets together. Listen closely to this tale of woe. So her husband was older. They had a business. He had the business before she met him, but she worked in the business the time they were married, 10 years. They had a house. He had purchased a house before he met her, but she lived there with him for 10 years. They have 2 children. He dies relatively suddenly. So they have assets. This is not going to be a real burden financially. It's going to be a burden emotionally, not financially, except that the sister-in-law decided to contest and produces a will that is suspect. There's a couple of things that are suspect about it. I'm not going to take the case. I'm just going to be a consultant. For instance, the will is doesn't have to be notarized, and it isn't, but it must be witnessed, and it is. But the 2 witnesses are both going to get money from the will, and that's a no-no. Okay? So she's had a lawyer, and for 2 years, they have been fighting to the point where somehow she lost the business that this guy had because the bank's like, well, you're not on the account, you're not authorized or whatever, so you can't have the money. Nobody went to a judge and got a judge to issue a letters of administration. Anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And here it is 2 years later, and she's got 2 kids at home, so going to work is a very challenging thing. Here's the thing. I listened to the tale. I listened to all the twists and turns. It sucks. But I had to say, as much as you need help, you shouldn't be in this situation. You're in this situation because you and your husband never did anything to not be in this situation. You never did a will. You never did any of the documents, set up a trust or anything as pertains to your lives. And so now you're stuck in probate court in the pandemic, 2 years, losing money on lawyers, losing money on the business collapsed, the whole thing. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, do you have a will? And the line of people who said, no, we don't have a will, but we're gonna get one. We're gonna do that. We'll get a hold of you, Ken. I can't tell you the last time I did a freaking will. I can tell you that the number of people that told me they were going to get a hold of me, and this is not an advertisement for me doing wills. I don't care if I never do another one. It's a what I'm trying to hammer in is why are any of you trying to adult and not have a will? Even if you have almost nothing and all of you have something, whatever it is, it would be best if you would just take some time, consult an attorney, or even go to legalzoom.com and say, I want to do a will in this state. It's probably $100, and they'll ask you a series of questions. do you have children? Do you have minor children? Do you have a husband? Do you know who do you want to leave your money to? Do you have bank accounts? Whatever it is. Or get a hold of a lawyer, because here's the thing, man. Once you are in this probate system in a dispute, I can tell you from when I used to be a general practitioner, it's just a nightmare. It is a freaking nightmare. And I don't know how to, when people come to me, as she did today, and said, here's my situation, what can I do? I sit there, my head is spinning with the multiplicity of problems that she's in the midst of, that she wants answers to. And since one, I'm not her lawyer, and two, I'm not a probate lawyer, and three, I don't practice in the county she's in. All I can do is make educated guesses. Thank you, Anne. Anne made a will when she turned 60. I don't know if turning 60 is what made you do a will or what, but thank you for getting it done. And the rest of you, if you don't have it, then someday maybe your spouse will contact me and say, hey, when Herbie passed, he didn't have a will, and now there's this asset. Maybe it won't be all the assets, the asset. And it seems to be up for grabs. His brother says he intended it for whatever it is. I mean, there's a million variations on the theme. So this is interesting. I'm going to discuss this case. You don't know who she is. I'm not going to tell you her name. So I say, well, wait a second. You're the wife, and under Texas law, it's community property. You're protected. You get 50% of the estate. So why haven't you just told this sister-in-law, go screw yourself? I get 50%. The kids get the rest of it. You can go to hell. And then fight over this alleged will. Well, the lawyer said I may not get anything. I said, you can't get nothing because the spouse in Texas, it's community property. You're entitled. Yeah, but he owned the house before he met me, or before the marriage. Okay, yeah, all right. I see why he said that. And he had the business before he met me. Okay, then that is a twist to the series of events, because the argument now becomes they were never marital property because they pre-existed before the marriage. But that's not the end of the argument. All the monies that were earned after they got married and that becomes community property. So you need to do a forensic audit. They haven't done any of that. Now, I don't know her lawyer. I don't know what he's thinking, and it doesn't matter. Because all of this is just spinning wheels, man. Because there was a pandemic, magnified that, because they weren't having court hearings, right? So they went to mediation. Something in Texas you almost always have to do in a civil case. The judges will order it if the lawyers don't encourage it. At least in all divorce cases now, there will be mediation if the parties don't have an agreement. So they go to mediation, and I here it is, ex post facto, come to Ken. We had an agreement, but it doesn't matter because this lady said this and the judge said that. And I look at the agreement and I understand why the judge is not accepting the agreement. It's not specific enough. And they're not agreeing to all the terms that are not specified. Therefore, the judge would have to put terms to it that are not clear. It's not a judge's job. So the judge is putting a halt to it. So now they're going to be enmeshed for interminably. All right. I don't think I have enough assets to have a will, says Kathy. And that's a really good point. Okay. And that's why I said, even if you think you got nothing, you got something. So leave what you don't know you have to somebody like Marcus, Kathy. Just designate that it's for him. So you have a will. Or leave something to him and leave something to your favorite charity. I don't know. Leave something to your cat or your dog. Also, Kathy, Rachel, Ann, Chris, Becky, everybody else, you need to have a power of attorney for health care. You need to have a power of attorney for property administration. You need all three, no matter who you are, no matter whether you have kids, no kids, whether you have a spouse or no spouse. You need all three of those. And now I'm going to explain why, because that's the kind of guy I am. You need the power of attorney for healthcare because somebody should be designated in your life, properly, legally designated, to make medical decisions if you are ever incapacitated and incapable of making the decisions for yourself. I'll give you an example. You're in a catastrophic accident. You may have suffered permanent brain damage. That hasn't been determined yet. They know that you are unresponsive. You're in a coma, maybe an induced coma because of brain, or it may just be you're out and they don't know if you're coming back. In any case, it doesn't matter. You're not able to answer questions about your medical care. Or you get old. Kathy, Rachel, Ann, Chris, Becky, Ken, Mark and Ann, Lisa, whoever may show up. You will all get old, or you won't get old. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But what you will get is, if you live long enough, you may have difficulty knowing what day it is, who's your daughter, who's your son, who's your spouse. You may suffer from dementia. So something could happen to you, and a doctor will then declare that you are incapable of making medical decisions due to your mental or physical state. At that point, when that has happened, a power of attorney for healthcare kicks in. You're living. You have to be living for this to be valid. This person shows the medical community, I am the attorney. That's what they call you, the attorney. I'm the one that has the power of attorney, and I'm asking you, don't prolong life. I'm asking you to prolong life. I'm asking you not to give them Demerol. I'm asking you to give them Demerol. The doctor says, I'd like to give Demerol. What do you think? Are you willing to accept it? You say, give the Demerol. You are answering as if you are the patient. You can accept or decline medical care just as if you're the patient. Who has given thought to what happens if I'm incapable of making my own medical decisions? Most people don't think about it until it's too late. So you need power of attorney for healthcare. It's very specific as to when it kicks in. It's very specific and global as to what powers the attorney has. Power of attorney for property administration. If you own a car, or you own a house, or you have other assets that need care, but you again are not able to make competent decisions. Either your mental or your physical health has declined to such a point that you're really not able to know when you're going to write a check. You need to write a check. You could be, you have an apartment and there's a lease and there are obligations and there are privileges. Who's navigating all that when you may be out of it? The power of attorney for property administration covers that. If you own property, that person can now handle that property. They couldn't in the absence of power of attorney because you're the only one that has the authority. If your name's the sole person on the title and you're not making decisions, you could lose your home, you can lose your apartment, you can lose your car. You don't want any of that to happen. You want somebody of sound mind and body to be available to intervene. So these three things, a will, a power of attorney for healthcare, and a power of attorney for property administration, everybody should just have them. You should just have them. It doesn't matter whether you have assets or you don't have assets. If you have kids and you don't have, at the very minimum, a will, and you have minor children, well, you're just careless. I don't even know what to say to you. If you have adult children and you would like to see them get something under your will, then you're going to need I mean, you're going to need a will if you want them to have something when you pass, because they're no longer minors. They're not necessarily going to get anything if you don't have a will. So when you die without a will, it's called intestate, right? That's the term. Dying without a will, you're intestate. So what happens when you die intestate is the law says what happens to your property. The law says, for instance, that if you've got a wife at the time that you pass intestate, the wife will take usually a minimum amount, 50%. The children, then, if there are minor children, or even adult children, I think, it depends upon the jurisdiction, will take some of it because it goes to the wife, the kids. If you had no wife or husband, no kids, then it goes up. Do you have parents? Your parents aren't alive. So many of us don't have living parents. Now it goes this way to brothers and sisters. You don't want your brothers and sisters to get your money. Well, they will if you don't have a will. And then it goes nephews and nieces. And so the law identifies who your heirs are. And if you have no heirs, then the money's going to go to the state. Maybe you don't have heirs. You don't have any kids. You don't have a spouse. You don't have siblings you want the money to go to. Maybe you'd like it to go to some charitable organization that works with youth. Well, you have to specify that. Otherwise, it's going to the state. It is sheets to the state. That's the legal term. In the absence of any direction from you and any other imposition, it is sheets to the state. The state gets it. It's their money. So working in a nursing home, Anne has seen the importance of these documents. Yes, that would be a place you would find. They vary from state to state. In Massachusetts, called healthcare proxy, and you have one as well as financial power of attorney. So we know that Anne has all three of these. They may be called something else, but that's what they are. I'm going to take silence on the part of some of you others that you don't have these others. I know that Rachel said she has a will, but everybody should have all these. I have everything I'm telling you, and I've had them for a long time. In fact, I just redid my will about 2 months ago, and I named Ricky, my little brother, my executor. Because prior to this, after I got divorced and didn't want my wife to be able to access anything of mine, removed her from the will, and I put in some friends of mine who are trustworthy and financially independent, don't need to steal my money. I made them executors, trustees, guardians over my kids. Anyways, now my kids are adult. They don't need a guardian, but they need a trustee because I'm not leaving them my money. I die tomorrow. They gotta go to a trustee when they want any of my money, until such age as the trustee determines they're adult enough to make responsible decisions. So I changed it because Ricky is much younger than all these other guys that I pointed. And the odds were that if I didn't tend to this, I could die and half the people I named would have been dead already. So I just did it. I consulted a lawyer. Even though I do these things, I consult the lawyer to cross my T's, dot my I's, help me execute it properly. And I have that and it's ready to go. I change these things. I revisit them from time to time, and I change them as necessary to reflect my whims. Now, I did not make Ricky power of attorney for healthcare for this reason. Ricky is in Chicago. I'm here. I don't want somebody in Chicago deciding whether to pull the plug on me in Dallas. So I still have a dear and trusted friend who will be my attorney in case I get incompetent, and they will be able to act on my behalf. When the time comes that I think I don't have anybody locally who can provide the type of support that I need, then once again, in revisiting my documents, I will find somebody else, up to and including Ricky. I mean, it's not impossible to have somebody making medical decisions remotely. It's just it's not as smooth. So, but I know Ricky would get on the first plane and fly if I was in a catastrophic, if I suffered a catastrophic injury. I know he would appear as quickly as possible, and he would assume his role as attorney if necessary. I don't doubt that for a minute, but I don't want him to be in that position if I can help it. So, anyways, meeting with this woman, I met with her for an hour or so, and seeing how convoluted her situation is and how challenging, I can say, so you can come to me. You'll do it. Thank you, Becky. Don't think I won't consider that. So, um, I may have my friend Elaine. I may reach out to her. Got a PhD in nursing, but she's not local, so I don't know. Um, so I'm listening to this woman's tortured tale, and here's what I know without consult with any of the other parties, right? Because sometimes you don't know the whole story. You hear one half. You're not hearing the sister-in-law's half. Here's what I know. 10 years married, okay? These are factual, right? 2 children born of this marriage, right? The woman's never been implicated in a crime. She has no criminal history. She has no history of drug abuse or alcohol abuse. She's got a degree, a master's degree in business administration back in somewhere overseas. And this is a very important resume, because if people attack your parenting in case somebody passes and somebody's trying to do what this lady's doing, so somebody's trying to take the money that should be allocated for the children and saying, well, if the court makes you, if the court gives these kids money, they should make me the guardian. The sister-in-law is saying you should make me the guardian. So I say to the woman, how many times have you met? How close are you with your sister-in-law? In 10 years, I maybe saw her 5 times. Is this, and they're suing. They produce this will. Is this a person I want to be the guardian of the monies? No, I don't want somebody that's adverse to anybody in the house. Now, if I felt like I was married to this woman and I don't think she's really got a good head for numbers or money, although she's got a degree in business administration, but let's pretend she doesn't, okay? Then it would be appropriate, even if you have a spouse, to designate a guardian, a financial guardian for your kids, somebody who's going to make sure that that pot of money is used for the health, safety, and welfare of the children. For all those of us who are older, our kids are grown, we don't have any kids, whatever, but we do have a spouse. We don't want to lock up the money. So we're not going to say, Mark's not going to say, well, I don't trust Ann with money. He better not say it. Ann will kill him in his sleep. So that's not the issue, but it certainly could be an issue. Who gets what, where, and when? Okay, but when you have anybody that you're not convinced, in my case, my 2 daughters, is competent financially to handle the monies, then that is the time you designate a trustee to be responsible to protect the principal. And they still distribute monies as necessary. My executor has the following mandate. You are to provide for my daughters immediately anytime you believe that they will benefit their health, safety, or welfare. And I told my daughters, it looks like this, because they were asking me, I don't understand. Well, what does this person do? What if they don't want to give us money? I said, they will have the discretion not to give you money, but they also have an obligation to do what I've outlined. And how does that look? Well, I said, you come to him and you say, you know what? I need rent. I want to get an apartment. I don't want to live at home with mom anymore. And he's going to say, well, how much do you need? It's a $1,200 a month apartment. Okay. And then where are you working at? Well, I'm not working right now. Where are you going to school? I'm not going to school right now. Yeah, I don't think Ken wants to give you any money. I mean, he's dead, but I'm acting in his stead. And, if you need money so that you can go to school, or you need money to supplement your income at work, and you want help with the rent, or you want help getting a car or something like that, then the executor needs to reach into the cash and help. But not help because they said, hey, I want a motorcycle. Yeah, well, get a job, get a motorcycle. But if here's another example. They need something, dental work. So many insurance plans don't cover dental work. They need help. Health, safety, welfare. The executor should look at that, convinced that this is something that needs to be done. The executor should endeavor to help financially. You dig what I'm saying? Am I doing this coherently? Because I don't usually give legal advice to a group of people where I can't even see you nod your heads. Okay, so if I'm stimulating an awareness, that's good. I hope so. If I'm stimulating more questions than answers, then you need to indicate in the column, the comment column, that you have a question or a concern. If you ask a tough question, I'm not going to answer it because that's the kind of guy I am. I don't go around answering tough questions. I'm trying to convey, thank you, Chris. I'm trying to convey, legal ideas that I think are applicable to everybody who's listening to me. So there's one of two types, and only two types. There's those of you that have done the paperwork already, like Ann, you locked up, you're cool. And I guess Rachel said she's done it. The rest of you have either done it or not done it. Two categories. I did it. I didn't do it. Okay. If I didn't do it, then I need to do it now. Okay. And if you don't know what the hell it is I'm telling you to do now, then, time out. What is it you need to know? Yes, I do some wills and trust and powers of attorney for healthcare and powers of attorney for property administration. I do them, but I don't do a lot of them. You might be able to get it done cheaper somewhere else. Light bulb went off. So enough. So many of us should do it. Even better, but more complicated, I'll tell you the truth, is I think Rachel brought it up. Power of attorney, irrevocable trust. You can put, you're married. I'm going to use Mark and Ann as an example, even though I don't know if they're here. If they have assets and they want to protect the assets and they don't want to go through court, there's a way to prevent probate. You do it through trust. It's complicated because the only way you miss probate is to put everything in the trust. So let's say you have a bank account that you both use or one of you uses, doesn't matter. And you don't want that to go through probate when one of you passes, unless it's a joint account and both names on the account. So Chris and Becky, if you have a bank account, it's got $90,000 in it, it's got both your names on it, and one of you dies, and it's a joint tenancy, then it's done. The other person gets it, okay? If it's tenants in common and one of you dies, the person who died, their money's up for grabs. Now it's got to go into probate, right? Unless you take that account, so it's an account with two names on it. Becky and Chris, Mark and Ann, doesn't matter. You rename the bank account. You literally rename the bank account to reflect the trust. So the Ken Goldberg Irrevocable Trust of 2021. That's what I decide to call my trust, and call it whatever I want. Then I take my bank accounts, I get new signature cards, and I, there's trustees of this trust. It could be me and my spouse, me and my daughters, whoever, doesn't matter. These persons now go on a signature card on a newly named account, the Ken Goldberg Irrevocable Trust 2021. That is now removed from the grasp of probate. It passed in accordance with the trust directions. So if that trust has a life of its own, it lives beyond us. But I did that, and then I forgot to put anything into the trust. I'll get around to it. So it was absolutely worthless. Okay, I mean, you're supposed to put your car in it. You title your car to the trust. You grant the title of your car. Everything goes in there. That way, when you pass, the court's not trying to decide anything. And then if something misses, it would go to probate. Anyways, I gave up on the trust because I did it when it was Lori and I. We had a joint irrevocable trust, and or revocable, I don't even remember. And so we had that, but at the end of the day, Rachel, is that are you telling me that a power of attorney ends at death? I didn't say otherwise. So, but that's a good point. So what Rachel's pointing out, and I thought, and that it helps when people say stuff like that. Because I said, I don't know if I'm explaining this well. I said earlier that you have to be alive to have power of attorney for healthcare and power of attorney of property administration. You have to be alive to have an attorney. Dead people don't have that. You don't have to be alive, obviously, if you're dead, to have somebody in charge of your will. That's a different status. Trustee, executor, guardian. That transcends death. But the two things that we call power of attorney, those expire. So you've just put your mom in hospice and she passes. You're no longer her power of attorney for health care because there's no more health care. Okay? And you don't have a power of attorney for property administration anymore because the deceased, that ended. Now you have to, if you don't have a will, now you have to go to court. You have to present death certificates. You have to get you have to get the power of you have to be appointed administrator by your court, and then you go around to the bank. You say, I now have the authority of the administrator. I want access to this bank account, and you will get access to that bank account. You can also contact whoever. Let's say the car is licensed with the state of Texas, Ken Goldberg, but I left you, Kathy, the car, and I also made you executor. You contact the state of Texas and you say, I'm the new owner. This is now my car. And they will accommodate you. They will change the title. You'll have to pay them because they charge for everything. I made Marcus the POD on my bank account. Pay on decease. So all those things you need to look at. I live alone. I don't have anybody's name on anything. I have Stacya's name, and Stacya alone is on some things like credit cards. So she could continue to use my credit card after I passed, the ones that she's on. She could do some other things, but I don't remember what. I don't think she's on any bank accounts of mine, but she may be on something. I know that there was one that said she would be the beneficiary in a bank account, but it wasn't my biggest bank account, and I closed that bank account. So she ain't getting it that way. All right, it's almost time to wrap this up. So let's thank Rachel for pointing out a legal glitch that I had glossed over, went right past. We did everything joint for that reason, said Becky some time ago. I just didn't read it out loud. Um, let's see if I missed anything else. Nothing that I got to do. Nothing that's critical. So I'm wrapping it up. And I wanted to actually tell you at the beginning that I need a break. And then I wanted to say, but who is I? Um, I've been studying Buddhism for, oh God, 11 years, 12 years. And there's always the question of what does I mean? And so I was going to have a exploration of that. I didn't do that. So what I did, though, I posted Highway to Hell. It's a link from Facebook of two cellos and a guy from AC/DC. I put another one. It's a conga, and it's a conga drums and an African drum and two drummers. And I thought it was really, really done well. I thought these guys really jammed. And then in the Highway to Hell thing, when you see it, you'll see what I'm saying. It's kind of like the Tommy Shaw, you're fooling yourself. It's them performing with other persons. And then I just threw in silly love songs for no freaking reason whatsoever. All right? Yes, meta. Now for meta. So we didn't get to who am I? Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe never. Because you know how I roll. I don't roll. I'm not made for rolling. I'm not round enough. Okay. I encourage you all to practice metta. I've talked about saving your economic well-being. Now I want to encourage you to save your spiritual life. And one way to bolster and to protect your spiritual well-being is to practice reflecting on loving kindness or goodwill. And so, bring your hands together before your hearts, bow your heads, take a deep breath, close your eyes. May I be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. May this practice find me living a life of greater peace and comfort than I would otherwise. As I would send loving kindness to my mother and father, all my family members and friends, so that they may be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May they too discover and follow the path that leads them to greater peace and comfort in their lives. To those persons I find difficult, those persons I harbor any ill will towards, I can suspend that attitude, if only briefly, and willingly send out goodwill that all these persons may be happy, healthy, free from harm. May they be living their lives even in this moment, comfort, peace, and even joy. And to all living beings throughout the entire universe, humans and non-humans, may they be the recipients of our collective goodwill and compassion, that they may be happy, healthy, free from harm, living lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Kathy says, thank you. See ya. Chris says, I really like two cellos. Good, good. Anyways, let me just start wrapping up. Oh, I do want to tell you, just because I tell you everything. I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go bicycling at 5:15. I gotta go do my Saturday thing. So Friday nights for me are not quite the party night that they are for a lot of people, because the anxiety of getting up at 4:30 in the next day and being on my bike and out the door by 5 a.m., having done everything, gotten dressed, put air in the tub, whatever it is I'm going to do. So Friday nights are always kind of angst filled. Now you know how my Friday night will go. All right. Well, thank you, Rachel. All right. That means peace. Yes, I will be back tomorrow night, Kathy. Good night.